This part work has been supplied to me free of charge from Fanhome.com. Please pop along to their website and see all of the other build-up part works that they have to offer, as well as other collections of collectible things. I would like to thank Fanhome for providing me with the part work so I can produce these videos for your enjoyment and educational needs. If you'd like to build one of your own, pop along to fanhome.com. They're available in many countries worldwide. If you do want to build one, leave a note in the comments to let me know how you're getting on, and let me know how I'm getting on as well. I'd like feedback of all types. So thank you once more to Fanhome for providing me with this kit. I hope you enjoy the build. Let's get on with it. Hello, I'm Chris, this is Gross Models, and welcome to issue 37 of Building R2-D2. Now, this is a step back issue. I know we started doing the second leg last time, but this time we're going back to doing the lightsaber. I don't know why it's nice to mix things up a little bit, but if you're working on one thing, surely it's best to have the one thing and work on that, and then work on something different rather than have to start one, finish one, and get back to the other, pull out all the other stuff. But yeah, so there we go. That's what we're going to be doing, but not quite yet. We're going to have a look through the magazine first. Hollywood Reporter mistook the preview showings of The Empire Strikes Back for a sign the film was ready for release. Well, it's preview showings. You can understand that it would be, but yeah, they weren't. They had to go back and refilm some things. Oh, a sock puppet for the... I didn't know that. I assumed that would have been how they did it, but yeah, it was a glove puppet. Cool. An arm puppet, technically. Nice. Yes, there we go. Obviously, other things going on. Hoth, Walkers, the EXD series from Rebels of the Clone Wars. Rebels by the looks of it. So, yeah, I should watch these. At some point, I will get around to watching them all, but not quite yet. Yeah, more about EXD9. You can read that at your leisure. Right, so the lightsaber ejector mechanism. The parts provided are used to make the system that raises and lowers Luke's lightsaber in its housing inside R2-D2's head, based on an electric motor geared to a long rack with a pair of limit switches to control where the lightsaber starts and stops. Obviously, all the parts in here included just underneath my tray. So I'll get this out the way, and we'll see about building it. A little bit of mechanics to do on this one. There's gearing and things. So, yeah, that's going to be interesting. So, we have the parts. We have the electronic parts, one plug, two switches. These are the limit switches that, obviously, when it gets to the top, it needs to know it's got to the top, and it stops. When it gets to the bottom, exactly the same. I shall be coming back to those momentarily. The motor, obviously, has a pinion on there that's geared. It makes it go up and down, and this is the rack that makes it go up and down. The first thing we're doing is taking said rack and the base plate and aligning them like this. It doesn't say which way up, so I'm assuming it really doesn't matter, because you're not going to be able to see this bit anyway. This is the bit that the lightsaber sort of sits onto. So yeah, we shall continue to use screws from a couple of issues back. One of those goes in here from the top, and we'll hold that in place. Let's turn that way so it's not going to fall out while I'm doing this. Put that in there. There we go. Then we are taking the motor, removing kinks from the lead. I've already unwrapped it from the little wire that holds it together. So that's that part. Let's turn the page on the instructions to see what comes next. Quite a few instructions this time round. We're feeding the motor cable through from this side. Now that's, again, not overly clear, but it's got to be that way around. It's going through from that side, and then the motor fits into the hole. It only fits in one way round. Interestingly, I would have assumed that it would fit in two ways round, but it goes that way. Just try it. It goes that way. It goes in two ways round. It doesn't. It won't go that way. It'll only go that way. But sort of yeah. So that's that in there, nice and easy. Push the motor all the way home. It should go a bit further than that. I think it might. No, it won't. It'll only go that far because of the stoppers there. Not what? I'm confused now. I think I had it the wrong way up. So maybe it will only go one way round. Let's try it from this side. I had it the wrong way and then completely ignored myself. So let's try again. It will go that way round and it will go the other way up. But we'll have it that way up. It goes all the way home. That does go all the way home now. And then the wheel goes over the top of it. Obviously that has a cross shape on it. So that will only go in one of 4 directions. That goes on there. Right, then it says to get the switches. It says fit the black one. Obviously important to get these the right way round, because if you get them the wrong way round, it will think it's going the other way when it isn't. These fit quite cleverly. There's a pin and a hole, and obviously a pin and a hole. You need to get that the right way round, the right way up, and that goes there. This one then feeds in, obviously, on the opposite side, in exactly the opposite way, but at a more level angle, not so jaunty as the first one. So that will go there. So these switches will obviously be activated as the gearing takes the post up and down. That goes in there. Then this does indeed locate into that groove, which will engage there, and obviously this post is what engages the 2 switches. So we put that in the middle there somewhere. It says as far left to the possible. Measuring its teeth with the drive gear. All right, we'll go under that switch or next to that. So we'll go next to that switch about there. It shouldn't matter because once we engage it, it's going to go one way or the other anyway. So that's that. Then this obviously holds it all in place. So that's the tricky bit, keeping everything. The switches should be pretty much locked in place. It's the gearing that might fall out. But that, once that's on top, the post and the pin for each of the switches should engage. That, make sure that's not caught in the middle there. That up out of the way a little bit. There we go. That. So that's that. That won't actually turn because of the motor, but we won't worry about that quite now. This is held in place with more of these screws, the black ones, because we're dealing with plastic. I'm just going to get a couple of them in now. Does it say through the hole on the side nearest the yellow cable? There's one at the top here. Got that going from the other side. No, he's going from that side. I've just got it up the other way. There we go. Get that through there. Tighten the screws, hold the assembly together. 2 more screws in the other 2 holes. That's conveniently the number of screws that I've actually got out. So yeah, 1 through... I'm counting more than that number of holes down. Oh, that's not counting that one down there or that one down there. So it's the 2 across the top by the looks of it. Yeah, 1 through there and 1 through there. Make sure they get lined up properly. Through there. And that one in the last place, last location. Top here, obviously again, being careful of the wires. You don't want them trapped, but equally you don't want them bent far either. Bending of wires is a thing that I shall be coming to at the end of this week's build. I shall show you a thing. So let's get all those tightened up. Should be enough to hold it all together till it gets assembled into the thing. So that's there working. Look, it doesn't move yet, but it will. I'm sure it will. This completes the drive assembly. It does indeed, but we're not stopping there. Oh no. This time we are continuing on installing the ejector to the tube from 2 weeks ago. So we take the part with the sliding bit and the other part. Align them like this, it says. This is obviously using the cutout piece. yeah, let's get it the same way around as in the picture so we can actually see what we're doing. Motor down the bottom, that up there. This is going onto there like that. Obviously with the tube going into the middle. Like that, and conveniently everything lines up. It doesn't, nothing lines up at all. I've got it the wrong way up. I've got it the wrong way up. The motor is at the top. Let's turn that round that way. Yes, because that's the way it's got it in the picture anyway. So that's the way it should be. Right, so there we go. So the motor panel lines up there. These line up with that hole there. That lines up with that hole there. Goes together properly. I'm sure it will if you just line it up and squeeze a little bit. For some reason that's not quite closing up. I'm sure it's lined up properly. I think it's just trying to be sprung apart at all times, so it's just a case of manipulating and lining up and getting it just right. There we go. That's that, and that's the top bit done as well. So that's that through there. Then we're going to be using some of these longer screws. Fit one of those into the lower bit, this one here. It'll go through this side. You've got a post on that side that it's going to thread into, so you've got to go through from this side with it all lined up just right. Just double check. Now these are different lengths, so use the correct length. This is the shorter, the longer of the two. 18mm, yes, that's this one, because it's got to go through all the way to there. That goes through there, lines up on the other side, and we'll tighten up and hold that in place. And coincidentally, hold it all together as well. Then one of the shorter ones needs to go through that part in exactly the same way, but lower. Just like that. There we go. So there we have that. Next up, we are using a couple more of these screws, and we're actually putting the bottom piece on, as I suspected, over there like that, just to cover everything up. 2 screws, one on each side. Obviously the top hole, half of this, the top hole, needs to stay open because that's where the lightsaber is going to go in and out. But this bit covers the working end. That goes through there, second screw, and the end of the tube should now look like this. It sort of does, depending on how you're looking at it, but yeah, they can't see that bit from there, but yeah, that looks like that. I'm happy with that. Right, let me just prepare myself for the next bit, and I shall show you the problem that we had before. Right, time for a quick upgrade and modifications section. In this build, there was a problem. You may be aware that Fanhome aren't the first people to do this. D'Agostini did it a few years ago, and many people had a problem with it. I didn't at the time, but more recently, when I tried to correct a problem with my original R2 unit, I did have the same problem. So I'm going to solve this one before it becomes a problem. The trouble is this yellow wire. It sticks out the bottom there, it gets caught on things, it gets damaged, and it gets broken off, basically. It's not really a problem to solder it back in place, but you don't need to solder it back in place if it doesn't come loose in the first place. So this black one is held in place and protected, no trouble at all. This one, not so protected. Now, the trouble you have is you've got the ratchet piece here, the rack that comes out through that T-shaped pattern here. So you can't do anything to block that off. But what you need to do is protect this end. the easiest way people have found to do it, and I tend to agree, is hot glue. I've got a small hot glue gun, ideal for modelling purposes. It basically heats up this glue resin and gets pushed through a heated nozzle. So when you squeeze the trigger, it pushes a little bit more out. And you can use that to build up a little protection reinforcement ring just around the end there. I don't think it's necessary to go very high, because it is that black piece that tends to get broken off, as far as I can recall. Yeah, just build up a little bit, a little protection around, and that hopefully, if I can get some more glue out, because I've run out of tube. There we go. A bit more around the top there, just to protect that in case. I've gone well overboard there, just for demonstration purposes, not because I'm inept or anything. It's just because I wanted to show you how it works. So yes, that should provide extra protection. Well, it's definitely going to provide extra protection. Once that dries, that becomes like well, it basically becomes this again. So nothing is going to move around in there. It should only take a very short time for it to dry. Maneuver it just a little bit while it's still got some movement to it, just to get it around that wire a little bit, and you'll see it go from transparent back to a little bit more opaque when it's done. Make sure you're not filling that gap. As you can see, obviously there needs to be room for that tube to come out, although that's actually as far down as it goes, so you probably don't need to worry too much about that anyway. It's going to come out at the top. So that is the end of this month's build. I shall get my glue gun put away until I need it again. And that's that. Purely optional. You don't have to worry about doing anything like that, but it solves a potential problem down the line, especially until it's installed. And even when it's installed to the head, which turns around. There's always the chance of the wire getting caught and problems coming up down the line. So it's easy to do it while it's here, and then you don't have to worry a bit later on. So thank you very much for joining me on this. I have one more issue to build before I have the long wait until next time. So stay around for that in a few days, and I shall see you very shortly. Thanks for watching. Bye bye for now.